that it was not till death do us part.
And it wasn't just an incident. I mean, the relationship that Kevin had with this woman went on for...
No. Kevin was a serial cheater. Kevin had different mistresses depending on, the part of his life. This last one was the one that he had the longest term relationship with.
You know what's wild? Imagine building your entire life on someone else's money, thinking that gravy train would never stop. That's exactly what Kevin Hunter and his mistress Sharina Hudson did. They thought they'd be living large forever off Wendy Williams' fortune, but karma had other plans. And when I tell you how hard they crashed, you're not gonna believe it. For over 15 years, Kevin was playing Wendy like a fool. 15 years, while she was out there building an empire, grinding on television and radio, making millions, her husband was living a whole separate life with Sharina Hudson. And they weren't even trying to be low-key about it after a while. Private investigators caught them on beaches in Miami, living like a regular couple while Wendy was paying for everything. The disrespect was unreal. But here's where it gets even crazier. In March 2019, while Wendy was in a sober house fighting her demons and trying to get clean, Sharina gave birth to Kevin's daughter, Journey. That's right, the man had a whole baby with his side piece while his wife was at her lowest point.
You left your wife. Now, we may not care about her on the show. That's different. But you left your wife. Got you a side piece. Had a baby and was living a whole different life. And evidently, Wendy Williams was the real bread maker. Because now you can't live that lifestyle without that check. Grass wasn't greener, huh?
When Wendy found out, that was it. After 22 years of marriage, she was done. She filed for divorce in April 2019, and the world watched as her personal life exploded on national television. Now, let me paint the picture of how bold these two were. Wendy actually hired a private investigator because Kevin told her he was in LA for business. The PI comes back with photos of Kevin and Sharina in Miami, lounging on the beach, going to the gym together, shopping with designer bags, acting like a married couple.
Kevin had gone to LA for business. And I hired a PI. Yes, I did. I hired a PI to follow my husband. And this guy is telling me that Kevin is in Miami with the girl. This is where you show the picture of them on the beach. You know the picture where she's going to the camera and he's laying there on the cell phone like they're chilling like a couple. You understand what I'm saying? The PI was taking pictures of them going to the gym, going to dinner, her with Gucci, Poochie, and Lucci.
And get this, radio personality Charlemagne the God, who used to work with Wendy, claims he's the one who introduced Kevin to Sharina years ago. He said he completely stopped dealing with Kevin and Wendy because Kevin thought he was trying to hook Sharina up with someone else. The audacity of this man to get jealous over his mistress while still married to Wendy is beyond me. Then came one of the most iconic moments in talk show history.
Situation over the 12 years that I've been here entertaining you on television. Welcome to Hot Topics, Sharina Hudson. Getting out of my car with my money. Good morning, Journey. Good morning, Kelvin. It's my truth.
Wendy walked onto her show set, sat down with her tea, and just went off. She looked directly at the camera and said, "Welcome to Hot Topics, Sharina Hudson. Getting out of my car with my money. Good morning, Journey. She'll be almost 3 next month, don't you know? Good morning, Kelvin." Even her executive producer was stunned. Wendy had never publicly named Sharina before, and she did it with such cold precision that everyone knew she was completely done with the situation. When the divorce was finalized in January 2020, Kevin walked away with what seemed like a sweet deal. He got a lump sum payment plus $250,000 in alimony every single month. Yeah, you heard that right. $250,000 every month just for being Wendy's ex-husband. He was set for life. Or so he thought. But here's where someone on Wendy's legal team proved they were an absolute genius. Buried in that divorce decree was a clause that said if Wendy's yearly income dropped below twice her February 2020 salary, the alimony would stop immediately. Kevin either didn't read the fine print or thought Wendy would be working forever. He also got fired as executive producer from The Wendy Williams Show the moment Wendy filed for divorce. The production company wasn't about to keep him around after what he did, but Kevin didn't care because he had that monthly check coming in. He took that money, bought a mansion in Florida for $95,000, moved Sharina and Journey in there, and started living the life he thought he deserved. Meanwhile, Wendy was the one who built everything, and he was just cashing checks. Everything changed in January 2022 when Wells Fargo froze Wendy's bank accounts. The bank claimed they had concerns about her well-being and financial safety, saying they believed she was a victim of exploitation. By May 2022, a judge placed Wendy under a court-ordered guardianship, appointing Sabrina Morrissey to control her personal and financial affairs. Wendy was diagnosed with aphasia and frontotemporal dementia, which became the medical justification for keeping her locked in this restrictive guardianship for over 3 years. Her entire life was controlled. She couldn't access her bank accounts, her credit cards, or even her phone. She was placed in a facility on a memory floor with people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, even though she was only in her late 50s. Wendy described it as emotional abuse and said she felt like she was in prison. And here's the wildest part. In November 2025, just weeks ago, a top neurologist completed new tests on Wendy and concluded that she does not have frontotemporal dementia. That's right, the entire medical basis for her guardianship was wrong. Frontotemporal dementia is a progressive disease that only gets worse, never better. But Wendy has shown remarkable improvement since getting sober 3 years ago, which completely contradicts that diagnosis. Her legal team is now preparing to file documents to terminate the guardianship, and if the judge refuses, they're demanding a jury trial. The situation looks even more suspicious when you consider the facts. Wendy's childhood friends submitted an affidavit claiming Wendy had $55 million in a Wells Fargo account. But in the Lifetime documentary Where is Wendy Williams, that aired in February 2024, Wendy looked directly at the camera and said, "I have no money." So where did all that money go? It seems like everyone from the judge to Wells Fargo to the Guardian Sabrina Morrissey to Wendy's former manager and doctor were all working together to keep Wendy away from her own fortune. And with Wendy unable to work and the show ending in 2022, guess what else stopped? Kevin's alimony checks. That clause in the divorce decree kicked in immediately. Wendy only received 2 residual payments after her show ended, one for $1,952 in February 2022 and another for just $59 in January 20. That was it. The money train didn't just slow down, it completely derailed. When those checks stopped coming, Kevin completely spiraled. In 2022, he filed his first lawsuit claiming he was in financial distress. He told the court he had fallen behind on all his bills, couldn't pay his homeowners association fees, and was facing foreclosure on that Florida mansion he was so proud of. He said he couldn't even afford insurance for the luxury cars he loved driving around. He was behind on credit card payments and was drowning in debt. The judge looked at his case and basically said this isn't an emergency and dismissed it. Kevin wasn't done though. In 2024, he came back with an even bolder move. He filed documents claiming Wendy had fraudulently hidden $48 million from him during their divorce proceedings. He wanted the entire divorce settlement vacated and set aside based on fraud, misrepresentation, and misconduct. Think about the audacity. This man cheated on his wife for 15 years, had a baby with his mistress, and now he's claiming Wendy defrauded him. The court wasn't buying it. That case went nowhere. He also sued Debmar Mercury, the production company behind The Wendy Williams Show, along with producers Ira Bernstein and Mort Marcus, for wrongful termination. He claimed they fired him because of his marital status and impending divorce, which he said violated New York law. The production company fired back, arguing that New York law doesn't protect someone from being fired because of their relationship status with a specific person. In April 2025, Kevin lost that case too, but his most desperate attempt came in June 2025 when he filed a $250 million lawsuit against Wells Fargo, Sabrina Morrissey, the Guardian, and everyone else involved in Wendy's guardianship. He claimed he was filing this on Wendy's behalf, saying her constitutional rights were violated and she had been defrauded by the court-appointed guardians. Now, putting aside how shady the guardianship actually seems to be, people immediately saw through Kevin's motivation. He's not her husband anymore. He doesn't have power of attorney. He can't file on behalf of their son because Kevin Jr. is 24 years old now. This was nothing but another money grab. And to make matters worse, the Guardian Sabrina Morrissey filed documents demanding Kevin pay back $112,000 in overpaid alimony that he allegedly received through an autopay function by mistake. So not only is he not getting more money, he might actually owe money back. By October 2023, Kevin had no choice but to sell that Florida mansion. He had originally paid $95,000 for it, but sold it for $1.25 million. That might sound like a profit, But when you factor in how much he put into it and how desperate he was to sell, it was clear he was in trouble. He also put 2 of his luxury vehicles up for rental with a company called Flex Wealth because he couldn't afford to keep them. In July 2023, he got sued over a $20,000 credit card bill that he couldn't pay. The lifestyle he had been living was completely unsustainable without Wendy's money. He tried opening an Italian restaurant in Brooklyn called Loretto, posting about it on social media and hyping the soft opening on Valentine's Day. But there's been radio silence about whether that business is even still running. And here's the kicker. Reports started circulating that Kevin hasn't even been paying child support to Sharina for their daughter Journey. The man who was receiving $250,000 a month from his ex-wife can't even support his own child now that the checks stopped. Sharina Hudson was living exactly the kind of life she wanted. Luxury shopping, designer bags, living in a nice house, playing stepmom to the soft life. She didn't have to work because Kevin was getting those massive alimony checks, but when the money dried up, reality hit her hard. Suddenly, she had to actually hustle. She started a vegan food business called Vegan Nose, but by all accounts, it wasn't bringing in real money. She got her real estate license and started selling homes in Florida, desperately trying to make ends meet. Her Instagram, which used to be filled with photos of her living her best life, went private during the worst of Kevin's financial troubles. When she came back online, her entire aesthetic had changed. No more soft life content. Now she was promoting her real estate services, selling gut medicine she created, and basically doing anything she could to stay afloat. The woman who thought she'd never have to work a day in her life was now grinding just to survive. The most telling part came in April 2023 when multiple sources claimed Sharina had left Kevin and moved back in with her mother, taking Journey with her. There was never an official statement from either of them, but all the signs were there. The lovey-dovey Valentine's Day posts Kevin used to make about her calling her his queen disappeared. Sharina's social media activity showed a woman who was focused on making money, not on her relationship. People who followed the situation said the money problems caused constant arguments between them. Sharina had gotten with Kevin for the lifestyle, and when that lifestyle evaporated, so did her interest in staying. Some rumors even suggested there were other issues in their relationship, but the main factor was obvious. She had been living off another woman's dime, and when that woman's money was no longer accessible, the relationship had no foundation left. The streets started talking, and the consensus was clear. Karma had finally caught up to both of them. Think about the poetry of this situation. Kevin Hunter spent over a decade cheating on his wife, had a baby with his mistress while his wife was in rehab, got fired from his job because of his infidelity, and then planned to live off his ex-wife's alimony forever. He thought he had it all figured out. That genius clause in the divorce decree, combined with Wendy's guardianship destroying her income stream, ended everything he had built on Wendy's back. Now he's filing lawsuit after lawsuit, getting rejected by courts left and right, selling off his possessions, and reportedly single. Sharina went from designer bags and beach vacations to selling houses and promoting homemade gut medicine on Instagram. She thought she had secured the bag by getting with a man who was married to a millionaire. Instead, she ended up a single mother having to work for the first time in years, while that man can't even pay child support. And the biggest twist of all is that Wendy, who everyone thought was cognitively impaired and permanently incapacitated, never actually had dementia. The whole guardianship that destroyed Kevin's alimony might have been a scheme from the start. Wendy's legal team is fighting to end it, and she might finally get her freedom and her money back. Meanwhile, Kevin and Sharina are left with nothing but the consequences of their choices. You really can't make this stuff up. When people say karma is real, this is exactly what they're talking about. Two people who thought they could build a life on betrayal and another woman's fortune learned the hardest way possible that nothing built on that foundation can last. The soft life they wanted turned into the hardest reality check either of them could have imagined. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss any of the celebrity gossip. Thanks for watching.